Exclamation, everybody, and welcome back to the LiveCraftMine server. I know I promised in my last episode on Wednesday that I would be doing some building around Serenity, probably around the town hall or down below in the beacon area. But I've had a sort of change of mind just for a little bit. I feel like between when I recorded that on Monday or whatever it was, and today, things change, and I felt like I wanted to do more of a talky episode this episode, because first of all, I need on live stream it became pretty apparent that I need some dies here to finish the roof of the library and whatnot, and for other purposes, and I am very, very low on that, so I'm out and about in the world. I've actually brought my compass this time around, which is freaking amazing. Usually, the amount of times I've gotten lost and found my way back is just hilarious at this point in time. So it's nice to see that I've actually come prepared for once. We've got sunflowers here. Do you get yellow dye out of them? Yes. Okay. As you can see, I've been collecting a bunch of dye along the way here. And maybe I'll run into I haven't walked all this way before. This is basically, which direction is this? Where is that? Can't see it. Can't see it. YouTube blindness. South. Yes, I'm walking further south from I basically went to my farmhouse and just started walking this way. The swamp that I usually get some stuff out of is well back there. So I'm pretty far out. About half a day or so, half a Minecraft day or so out in the world, and I might do a little bit of caving, not any technical caving. I did actually, after my last technical caving episode, get this guy. I did get some a good question to answer for a technical caving episode, but I don't have the answer for it yet because it required me to do some research on my own to find out what kind of gaming platform I would want to use. And I'm starting to do that research as it is because I want to buy, or build, I should say, my next computer. And I have not fully done all the research yet. So that's why I'm not gonna do a technical caving episode, although I might do some caving here. But I actually just scoped out a cave a little bit earlier that might be pretty good for some ABBA caving with the guys. I have the coordinates written down. But no, today's just an exploration, and really just it's one of those episodes where it's kind of I have stuff to talk about. Just life stuff, and it's kind of cathartic to just come through and just have an episode where you can just sort of just spend the time just talking and chatting away. Not getting much accomplished, but other than doing the resource gathering. So that is where I stand today on this. And it's funny too because I think Tin said in one of his LCM episodes, he's like, I don't know, he was in awe of how I can find topics to talk about. And to be perfectly honest, I was in that mode at one point in time as well, where I just could not find anything to talk about a long time ago. And it just, after a while, after doing like the podcast like stuff that I do with Cube Ramblings, looks like somebody's been through here. So I see a suspicious dirt tower over there too. After having gone through all that, enough times, enough weeks in it, you start to figure things out, figure out how to just come up with things, just ramble on, and some things come out actually intelligent at the end of the day, which tends to be my whole thing here. Look at all these horses. We got white horses. We had some nice brown horses over there. Oof, found a nice horse biome. Maybe I'll run across a village here that we haven't found yet too, because I would like to try to get me some more emeralds along the way. But anyway, I just want to chat, and gather some of these resources up. So what's been going on this week? I it's funny. So my nephew is just about to graduate high school in a couple weeks. And for those of you not in the U.S., high school would be 12th year. We call it grade 12, but you would call it 12th year, which is just prior to actually either going out and doing something with your life or, going out into the workforce, or, wow, look at this. Look at this cave. This might be a nice cave for an abbot caving too as well. Or I might just steal this for myself. Let's come down here and see what it's got in it. So he's looking, he's starting to think about, what's he going to do? Is he going to go right into the workforce? Is he going to go to college or university? And actually in the U.S. we actually call them, they're actually two different things. I don't know what it's like. Whenever I hear somebody talk about, it's not in the U.S. Ooh. Oh, there must be silverfish around here too. Must be that type of biome. Is it extreme hills? No, it's plains. That's weird. Because I hear like silverfish. Oh, you know what that is? That is because of that Enderman probably. Yeah. It's probably one of those Endermite thingamajiggers. So yeah. Oh, hello. Hello there, creeper. So yeah, he's looking to, and my brother was sort of emailing me and asking me, like, my nephew is thinking of getting into computer stuff, and what courses should he take, and those kinds of things. And he sort of emailed me the college, not transcript, but course. Oh, I see a nice abandoned mine shaft over there. The course offerings for a local college. And I don't think I finished my thought yet. In the U.S., we have both colleges and universities, and we actually distinguish between the two. It's really, a college is just a post high school thing, and a university is like an accredited college, essentially. And the accreditation just means basically they offer a certain types of courses and certain well-roundedness they promote with their students and whatnot, which is probably a little bit of a foreign thing, I think, to most people, because it's one of the things that I hated the most about college was that I went there because I wanted to focus on computer stuff, and they don't really do the whole focus thing, right? There are things that do that, like technical schools and whatnot, but not like 4-year accredited colleges. They try to throw all these general studies things on you, and basically you're forced to take them, even though they're nothing. They relate at no time to anything that you want to do later on in life. But it's just something that they do. It's kind of a money grab, I would think. But there's no other good viable option when it comes to certain careers. And I say that because a lot of recruiters for companies are looking for those big letters on your resumes. They're looking for bachelors of science or bachelors of arts or whatever it might be, even though it makes very little difference as far as your quality is concerned. There's a perception that there's a better quality when you have those $40,000 or $60,000 or $100,000 cocktail napkins that have bachelor's degree or whatever scrawled on them. As you can imagine, I don't think too highly of them. I didn't really like college. I'll be perfectly honest. I I would have done without it if it would have allowed me to, if I could have still gotten into my career. And that's really the problem, right? Is that I'm not the type of person that really, I was done with school pretty much by the time I had gotten, into my senior year of high school. I was pretty much, I didn't want anything more to do with it. But in order to get a leg up, in order to actually be able to get my foot in the door of employers in the area that I wanted to be in, namely as a programmer, I really had no choice. I had to do that. I needed that hall pass in order to really get them to acknowledge my resume and consider me for positions. I could have, if I searched long and hard enough, I probably could have found an employer that wasn't as interested in it. But it's very difficult, and you end up spending many, many years doing other things to get the money while you wait for that one to come by and grace you with their presence. So it was really a fast tracking method. Is it just kind of sit down and go, all right, I'll spend this money for college and hope that I get my return on my investment as quickly as I possibly can, which is becoming less and less a less and less possible as time goes on, because everybody and their grandmother now is going to college, which is reducing the I guess I don't want to say the eliteness, but it's reducing the usefulness, I suppose, of the actual degree. It's becoming more of this is a necessity now, and then, if we want to compare you to somebody else, then we're going to look for even higher level degrees. So when I started out, when I graduated about, what was it, almost 13, 14 years ago, I'd say, when I graduated college, we were in the middle of a really bad employment environment, where it was very hard to get jobs. It was very hard for new college graduates to get jobs, and that happens. That's like cyclical for some reason. It happens quite often from every certain number of years. You tend to get that period where it's very hard for college kids to really break through, and it's getting even harder, I think, as time goes on. I mean, there's always been those little periods, but then they were few and far between, and you could still manage. You could still manage to get a good job. You just it just took you longer. It took you maybe 6 months to find it. But nowadays it seems like in certain, especially in my area, namely computer science and whatnot, it seems like you could wait, a whole year or 2 years before you could get to something before you get that break, that first break that you need to get the experience that would then translate into more than what you get for college, right? Because employers are still looking for very experienced people, but they always have that gatekeeper, right? It's like, if you don't have any experience, it's very hard still to find a job, because it's not. They want experience. They want experienced people, and you can't get. It's a chicken and egg, right? You can't get that experience if nobody hires you. So it's really it's a weird situation to be in, and it's only getting harder and harder for people, because the college degree that you're paying for is not worth as much as it used to be, even when I graduated, and that wasn't very long ago. So that's it's a strange thing. It's very, I don't know where we're going with that in terms of what it's going to be like 10 years down the line, or even 5 years down the line, trying to break into industries and get your careers started. But I've getting back to my story, since I got sidetracked. My nephew's looking to possibly do stuff in computers, and he had, I was looking through the course booklet that they sent me, and I realized that, holy crap, there's now really 3 different tracks that they're putting people on that sort of make sense, but at the same time are just kind of very, very strange. And what I mean by that is, it used to be that you had your one track, or actually really 2 tracks. When I was doing my thing, there were really 2 tracks. There was the management track, which was management information systems, which basically means that you were going to do something in IT and eventually become a manager. And that was the thing that people would do when all they wanted to do was be tech support, or all they wanted to do was I hear, where's this guy at? Okay. Or all they wanted to do was, say, support server class systems or whatnot, and they just wanted to be, a system admin. And they would just take those courses because that was really the only thing that was being offered. And those focused mostly on sort of the business aspects, like how do you did I come through here already? Yeah, apparently I did. How do you budget for things, and how do you do all the Gantt charts and resourcing and all that fun stuff. And then there was the science track, which is the one I took, which is basically computer science, which is saying, essentially, you're going to do all the low-level stuff, the programming and whatnot. And now I've noticed that they've introduced, it's weird. They've introduced a 3rd track, but then they sort of muddied the waters of the other tracks. So it's like the business track or the MIS track is really, they have you doing a little bit of programming in it, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense because that's not really what they want to do. They want to configure systems, right? And then the science track has some business stuff in it, which is not, it's not terrible, but it's also not really useful, right? We're not really interested in flow charts and all that, or not flow charts, but resource allocation charts and accounting and all that stuff. That's not really, I don't do accounting, so why would I need training in that for my job when that's not my job, right? That's somebody else's job altogether, is to do all the accounting and stuff. So it's very, very, very strange. And then on top of that, there's this kind of 3rd track that they've introduced that's like a jack of all trades, which means you do some programming, but you also do some of the management stuff at the same time. And it's I don't know. There was also some like economic courses in it, and I just cannot fathom who is coming up with these courses and what they think that they're actually accomplishing. I really can't. It seems very, very strange. And I was trying to convey that to my brother, like, look, I can kind of see what they're trying to do here, but none of these are really intensive courses. So it really comes down to what he wants to do, right? Does he want to be more of the scientist-ish person, like me, where I just do programming and that's it? I don't worry about, resource allocations and all that stuff? Or does he want to be more of the manager track? And how do you train people for a manager track? it's very, very confusing to me at times. But it's also very difficult to give a good answer as to what you should do, because I know he's going to ask me when I talk to my nephew. I know he's going to ask me like, well, I mean, I'm going to ask him like, well, what do you actually want to do, right? And I'm going to get a whole lot of, I don't know, I want to do something on computers, which is understandable because that's what I wanted to do too. When I first started out, I was like, I don't know what I want to do. I just want to do computers. And it's hard to tell, you know, that it's hard to convey the fact that there's these vastly different roles that you can take on as far as computers are concerned. And man, I need some torches here. So I'm trying to figure out like how do I let them know that, like, look, here's the 3 different paths you could possibly take, but you really need to decide early on which one you want to do, because if you take the other one, it's going to be hard. You take one of the other ones that isn't really in line with what you want to do, it's going to be very difficult to change your mind later because of the way that they're offering their courses. It's just very strange. It's like, yeah, we're going to, you know, you're going to have to do X, Y, and Z, and then if you want to be a computer scientist, you got to do A, B, and C. And if you want to be a jack of all trades, you got to do all this. Basically, something that is no crossover between them. You know, the Venn diagram does not meet up in the center anywhere, and that's the part I'm like, I don't know. How do you deal with that, right? Like, how do you say, like, how do you explain that these things are vastly different from one another, even though they all sound exactly the same? I mean, it doesn't help that all their tracks are named pretty much the same thing, like computer information systems versus computer technologies and systems versus web development. And it's like, what? None of that makes any sense. Those are all almost the same thing. It's just different wordings for different things. And then you look at the actual course offerings, and you scratch your head even more. Like, well, what was the point behind this? What exactly were you trying to do here? Because it's not. These are all very, very different things. But yeah, it's hard really to convey those things, because they're just not. You know, I look at some of the course offerings, and it's like, well, this is not something's not right here. This was designed by someone that does not understand the real world and what is needed as far as the real world goes. Which, by and large, is the truth. I mean, that was my biggest problem with some of the things I used to do in my college, which was, you know, why am I taking physics? I mean, on the surface, it sounds like it should be relevant, right? Because if I did certain very high sciencey programs that, you know, if I was working for, say, an R&D thing for a science lab, say, then yeah, I probably need to know some physics and some of that stuff. But I mean, it's rare to be in those positions. If you go off and do something entirely different, like I have, like you stick closer to the web stuff, it's just, you know, all that is useless. So it's hard to really say, like, hey, this is what you're supposed to do. This is what track you should be on. I think that's the moral of that story. And it's. I mean, this is the first I've heard that he was interested in doing the whole computer thing. I know that there's a lot of interest out there for it. It's funny though, because everybody thinks that they want to do computer stuff because they enjoy it. And then they realize that it's a lot of sitting in front of your computer. I mean, pretty much 16 hours a day you sit in front of a computer. And it's very, very math heavy when you're in college, and very very technically, very low level stuff, right? Where it's just, you can't, it's not, you realize early on that you basically can't talk to anybody about it. And not for legal reasons, but because most people, if you sat down and start talking about like what you did today at work, they would completely tune you out, because it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It's very hard to convey it in a way that a non-techie would understand it. And I think that's one of the big problems, right? There's always this thing going around that's like, there's a big problem in our industry where we don't have a whole lot of diversity. Kill this guy. There we go. Where we don't have a whole lot of diversity. And there's been a lot of talk. In fact, Google just released for the first time ever their diversity report on what their engineers, the makeup, the racial and gender makeup of their engineering and technical staffs. And the common theme is white and male, and that is, I can say for certain that I've seen pretty much the same thing in my day-to-day job. But there's this idea is the problem with that is how do you get other people, how do you get more of a diverse following for this? Like how do you generate that interest that's needed? And I have no idea how you would do it, because it's deeper than just a people are not being treated well when they're in this profession, like we're misogynist or something like that, or there's some kind of strife in the workplace. That certainly happens. I have never witnessed it myself. If I did, I would probably put a stop to it. But I've heard, since Silicon Valley tends to be our model, and we tend to get blamed for all their crap, I've heard that it's a big problem out there. And I'm not saying that there's no merit to that. There probably is. It probably is actually a problem. It's just, how do you inspire people to get interested in something like this when they have no role models to get interested in it? It's like it's almost a chicken and egg thing, right? It's like, how do you get more women, say, to be interested in computer programming when they have really very little to no role models to look at, right? How do you get that initial inspiration going? And that's the big question in my head, and I'm sure it's a big question in other people's minds as well. Is you can't. I can't. That's right. Minecarts don't stack. I forgot. I don't know how you do it. That's my big the big kerfuffle in my brain is, like, obviously we need to inspire them more at the college level, but from what I've seen, even in my own university that I went to, people drop out quite quickly from the computer science program in its first year, when they're in their first year, when they're in their freshman year, trying to figure out what they want to do. A lot of people want to do something with computers, but they don't realize what anything means, because we use all these damn technical terms, and nobody knows what one thing is versus another. And as far as college courses go, like, you know, what is the difference between a web developer and all this stuff? And, you know, a web developer nowadays is more of an artist than a scientist, whereas a programmer is more of a scientist than an artist. And a lot of people get interested in computers because they want to do art stuff, and they end up in a computer science class and then realize that this is not anything that they signed up for. This is not what they want to do. And so they drop out very quickly, and it's, you know, the question becomes, how do you convey better what actually is trying to be accomplished by these courses and these course loads? And I don't have the answer to that. I feel like that's the biggest problem, though, is that we just we're not very succinct in what we're actually looking for, and what actually is entailed, and how it relates to the actual to the real working world. You know, because I have worked with a ton of guys who did not go to college for computer science. Like, they're programming now, and they're programmers, and they do all the stuff that I do, but they went to college for, you know, business, or they went to college for physics, or what was the other one, like mental health, or not mental health, but, you know, like psychology, those kinds of things, and they end up as computer programmers. You're like, well, how does that work? How do you wake up one day and go, you know what, I really just want to program computers? What is the common ground there? How do you inspire people to be? How do you convey to people what exactly they're getting into before they've gotten into it? And I think once we figure that out, we'll be able to figure out how to actually get more diversity in what we're doing. I just don't have any answers to that at all. No answers at all. So hopefully at some point someone much smarter than me will be able to figure that out. But in the meantime, I have got to figure out how to figure out what my nephew actually wants to do. Like, what questions do I ask? Like, how do I convey to him the difference, that there's a vast difference between things? Like, does he really want to do more of the art stuff? Does he want to do more of the science stuff? And it really comes down to, the reason I'm really concerned about it is because we don't want him to waste money, right? Because one of the biggest problems is that college costs so much money now that you end up in a lot of debt, and then you realize that nothing you did was anything you wanted to do. Like, it doesn't apply at all to what you really wanted to do. And it's painful, because then you spend your next 20 years paying off a debt that you probably shouldn't have incurred in the first place if people would, someone had sat down with you and actually told you, like, hey, this is where this is probably going to end you up as far as career-wise. Is this what you want to do, or is this not what you want to do? Because I hear a lot of people who have gone into say computer design or graphic design stuff, and then they realize that that's not really what they wanted to do. Like, because it involves them pretty much sitting in front of the computer, as I said, and just kind of hacking away at it and doing rather mundane things. Maybe, you know, it takes a long time before you actually get to a point where what you're actually doing is designing layouts and mostly art. There's a lot of just overlap there that you have to end up dealing with, and it's not something that everybody wants to do. Now, where did I leave my stuff at? Oh, here it is. I know I left it around here somewhere. Let's get some of this gold going. All right, we've got a nice haul here, I would say. But those are the things that have been occupying my mind, and I know that others like I think Sir Fappy has talked a little bit about it in his videos. You know, you kind of get a little disenfranchised sometimes about when you're actually in college and you're doing things and you're like, you know, why am I doing this? why is this important? What is going on here? And it happens. I mean, it happened to me too. I like I said, never really wanted to go to college. I went because it was the hall pass that I needed to get my foot in the door. And once you get your foot in the door and you can talk to the actual people who are looking to hire somebody, and they find out that, hey, you know what you know, you actually know some things. From that point on, then you're getting actual work experience, and you can, that counts for far more than any college experience counts for. Usually. It's just a matter of just getting in there and doing what you got to do. So that is just the thing that's been occupying my mind for the last couple days here. I've been trying to help him out to figure out what he wants to do. But at the same time, I don't want to be too jaded about it either, because he might decide that, hey, he really likes the kind of thing that I do, or he really doesn't like the kind of thing that I do. It's how do you, I don't know how to sort of convey the real implications, right? Because what's happening is you've got real money now on the line, where it's like, if you make your wrong choice, I mean, you can change your majors up, but it's still money wasted and time wasted, right? And who's to say that that's really what you need it? Maybe you should just follow it all the way through, and then go do something else. Because honestly, at the end of the day, sometimes just having a bachelor's degree is better than not. I mean, like I said, I have hired people who were just, I have some coal here. I have hired people who were, physicists and music teachers, and I mean, it's, they went to college for anything but computer science, and then they just sat down and taught themselves how to program, and decided that they really enjoyed it and they wanted to get a job in it, and the rest is history, right? They're like, okay, this is what I want to do. Stone, get rid of that. Take that here. I need some torches. Torch the rest of this up here, if I can. Where's my? I keep losing my workbench. I think it's over here. Oh, there we go. So yeah, those are the things that occupy occupy my mind from time to time here. I just felt like I just wanted to talk about it here, because it's as I said, it's cathartic, right? You have somebody to talk to and just kind of work the things out in your brain that are just driving you insane. And let's see. I think that's probably a good time to call the episode. I know I haven't done much here, but I feel like I just wanted to have a little talky episode rather than and do maybe a little bit of adventuring. But this is about as much adventure as you can get in vanilla Minecraft. I kind of wish they had backpacks and whatnot in vanilla, because that's the one nice thing I like about the modded Minecraft stuff, is that you can get some good you can make the backpacks and just carry lots and lots of stuff around with you. It kind of encourages you to do more exploring, which is one of the two main things of the game, right? Is exploring and building. And I feel like you can do lots and lots of building now, although always having more blocks is always a good thing. But the exploration is not as, and you know, they've tried to improve the exploration by having all these new biomes and whatnot. But I feel like there's smaller steps that they can make that would actually help it out as well, like getting a better fast travel method and having backpacks and stuff like that. Maybe an ender chest that you can carry around with yourself, or not ender chest, like an ender bag that's separate from your ender chest or whatever. You know, take a few hints from some of the modders, because those are really fantastic things as far as making the world seem a little bit more alive and giving you a reason to just keep on traveling around and finding new stuff and doing all there is to do in the game. But I think I have rambled on for quite a long time. Probably lost half of you at this point as well. But I just, you know, this is what I do sometimes. This is what I do. So I think I will call the episode there. Ooh, some more gold. I have not been over this section apparently. Let me dig myself a way to get up here. Oh, I see that zombie over there. I was wondering where he was at. I kept hearing him. So awesome, and all those things. Let's see, what do I have? I have 2 things of cobblestone for some reason. Throw that away. Grab this. Alright, I think I'm going to call the episode there. Thanks for watching, everybody. And next time I will definitely do some building. Now that I've got some resources and I got some dyes and whatnot. And I will see you guys next time.